Okay, I'm going to try this again because that last one was way too long, and then I had interruptions because we got morning meetings. But I want to get this done right, and just writing about it, it was just way too long, so I thought this would be easier. Again, Michelle would probably be better equipped to answer this question, but based on my experiences from fifth grade, I guess this is what I would do. The strategy I would do to address how do you teach fifth grade students to write according to the passage without making every sentence begin that way? Well, I would model for them where, according to the passage, that little concrete format belongs and when to use it by, of course, presenting model texts and modeling the writing process with them. So you have this fake passage that I already wrote up. Ideally, I'd use a resource like newsela.com and, of course, make it a grade level 5 read. Bring the Lexile down to grade level 5. And then I like to kill trees. I'd make copies for every one of my students so they had this, and I had it pulled up on the board. And we read it together, whatever strategy you prefer. I like for them to, so we know what we're doing with it, I like for them to annotate on the paper, so I would ask them, okay, in the margins, this is what a margin looks like. Write 1, 2, 3, just number all the paragraphs, right? Once they learn that this is a paragraph, this is what it looks like, put a number off to the side. And then I'm going to say, okay, by yourself, do the best you can to read the first 3 paragraphs, or maybe just the first paragraph, whatever set they're at. But this is something I would do at the beginning of the school year, and to practice this strategy until it's ingrained in them. So then I could just hand them a paper, and they know automatically that we are going to do paraphrase paragraph practices today, or P3 for short. And so that's what this all is. We're going to look at the passage, annotate it by numbering off to the side, and we're going to set a timer to read the first 3, and then they're going to get with an elbow partner, and they're going to tell that elbow partner what they read and what the most important part of what they read is. So when they do that, then as a class, we're going to write together, really just me as a teacher. I'm going to get on the board, and I'm going to kick it off and say, okay, we're going to learn how to paraphrase this without plagiarizing it. And we're going to use this tool called According to the Passage. This is going to go in our Let's Not Plagiarize toolbox, and we'll talk about more ways to not plagiarize, more things you can add to your toolbox, but this is the first one, According to the Passage. According to the passage, okay, now someone summarize what's the most important parts of the passage that you read, those first 3 paragraphs. And they're going to say, probably highlight that the video games. And then you're going to have to pull more information out of that and say, what about video games? And then you're going to, they're raising their hands because they want to tell you the answer. And you can say, video games made him smarter. And then you're going to say, okay, we can play with that. So according to the passage, and you're writing on the board, modeling it, video games make you smart. Right? Okay. How do we know video games make you smart? What else from the passage tells us that? And you might have to do this by yourself while they watch and highlight on their own the evidence. Because what you have here, according to the passage, video games make you smart, is a claim, the opening claim for your practice paragraph. And so they're going to look in it, and if they can't get it, you're going to have to show them. So we know video games make you smart because who are they talking to? Who's talking in this? Roman Rivera. And you might have a Rivera in class, and then you're going to make a joke like, you related? You know that guy? And they're going to be like, no. And you're like, okay, crazy kids. So what about him? What did he say? What do we know about Roman? What do we know about this guy? He's like the character in this story that's true. And they're going to say, he was an A student. They might not be saying it. Remember, you might just be modeling it. And he's going to college. College isn't easy to get into. That's a good college. And he says gaming helped him get there. So those are examples of evidence. So how do we take those evidence and put them into a summary, students? And then they can help you with that, or maybe just model it. Roman, a student, said video games made him smart, and he is in college and made A's in high school. So then you got the first introduction to your own paraphrase paragraph practice. And now, of course, you want to teach them to follow up with their own thoughts on all this. So what? What's a good question that you can help guide them? I guess based on the topic that we chose here randomly, do video games make you smarter or dumber? maybe you can put that in more PC terms, and then they can start incorporating their own thoughts or ideas. I think video games do not make us smarter because, or I think video games do make us smarter because. And this is great activity because you can do a T-chart with the class, do and don't, and have them just yell out answers, and you can type them off to the side here. Why do they make you smarter? Well, because Mario teaches a lot about hand-eye coordination. Because, you know, kids at that age are super concerned about hand-eye coordination. Why don't they make you smarter? Well, because GTA is violent. And then you can say, what? You're 5th grade. How do you know about GTA? That's so violent. Why are your parents letting you play GTA? And then you can address that at parent-teacher conferences, because I bet that'll be a real fun conversation to have. And we can keep on going, and they can put ideas out that you can help model by incorporating into this practice paragraph. So what that'll eventually look like is, here you go. So if we're going to play off of our old tried and true 5-paragraph essay, it might look something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the beginning of these 2 body paragraphs, we have according to the passage 1, according to passage 2. Remember, the according to the passage is our little tool that we put in our toolbox to avoid plagiarism when paraphrasing. But we might want to come up with more tools to incorporate eventually. Right now, I'm just going to stick with that, especially if it's at the beginning of the school year, and they're going to master that. And then eventually, I'm going to say, guess what? We're going to do our P3 paraphrasing paragraph practices today, and you can't use according to the passage as your tool. You're going to switch it up, and this time, I want you to use based on the work of, insert the author, insert the title. And they're going to be like, whoa, you gave me a new skill. That's awesome. It's just like video games. I get like a new skill. I power it up. And you're going to be like, yeah, because I'm an awesome teacher. And then eventually you might teach them how to open up by citing the author's name or the title. I guess it's not title's name, but you know where I'm going with that. Author claims that, you're elevating their language, give them the academic vocabulary. Or, you know, they might just say, author says that, and then follow it up with their paraphrase, right? And so you come up with all these tools that they can eventually incorporate. However, in terms of like, if we're just teaching to the writing assessment, I mean, if they're doing this once each time that they're going to include information from the passage, I think they're golden. And then, of course, following up with their own elaboration, their own ideas. And that's why I have the third body here labeled as their own personal experience, because that is one thing I noticed from the few papers I did look at last year, was that papers that incorporated a personal experience, a personal narrative to support whatever the prompt was asking them to support, they received higher scores, because that shows a higher level of understanding of the text and responding to the prompt. Did that make sense? If not, yell at me on the Facebook group, holler on this post, or just email me directly, and maybe I can clarify. Also, you can always contact the director of elementary ELA, Michelle Sprague. Okay? Hope this doesn't need to be edited too heavily.